Hey, welcome to our new series on web development with Being Zero. In this series, we are going to start web development from very beginning, from scratch. It's from an idea, from a thought to becoming a master developer of web. Second thing that we'll keep you will see this philosophy in the complete training or in the complete development videos, that is, we will be doing practical first and then we will be going over the theoretical concepts, and this is by far the most effective way that we have found, because till now we have reached out approximately to 3500 students in last 1 year, and we have applied different styles of teaching, different styles of observing how people learn, and we have found this to be the most effective way of learning anything. Typically, if we experience something practically first and then we go into the theory of it, then reading theory becomes fun, and most of the lines that we are reading, they start making sense to us. So that is what we are going to try in this series, and this is the first video of the series, so there will be some introductions and all, and then we will begin with our first exercise for this week. And every week we plan to release one video so that people can follow our exercises at an easy pace, because there is no point keeping a hard goal if we are not able to achieve it easily, because everyone is busy in their office, in their college, in their day-to-day life. So we want to start with keeping little goals, so that we keep one small goal in a week which requires approximately 15 to 30 minutes of your time, and that effectively will make you a professional web developer. So let's begin with that, and let's talk about how web development works and what does it take to be a web developer. Now, web development always begins with developing of a web page. So web pages that we see online, google.com home page is a web page, flipkart.com has a front page on their site, then amazon.com, ICICI, State Bank of India, all these websites have web pages that combine together to make a website or a web application. So let's talk about what does it take for us to create a web page from scratch, and believe me, we can do it just by using a notepad on Windows, or by using gedit on a Linux box, and using any text editor on a Mac. So let's begin. Now, before we talk about web page development, there are three things that we should be aware of, and for those three things we'll see them practically first, and then we will go into the theory, because that's what I said will be the philosophy that we will be using for learning web development. Now, if you look at this picture, most of us in India would know who she is, and I believe people outside India also know who she is. So she is Katrina Kaif, and in this pic, this is taken in her house, or maybe at some place where she is not having any makeup. It's plain Katrina Kaif. Now this is one picture. Let's take a look at another picture. Same lady, same Katrina Kaif, and this time she has put on makeup and she is dressed properly, and there is some style that is applied onto her. And there is another picture of Katrina Kaif where we see her singing and playing a guitar. So that's a picture from a movie, Mere Brother Ki Dulhan, and there Katrina is very active, and she is handling a lot of crowd who is listening to her, and she is making them have fun while listening to her song. So if we look at these three pictures, this is what is the start of web development also. Let's see how we say these pictures depict web development. So web development requires us to begin with to learn three languages. First language is HTML, which defines the page structure. A simple plain page where we may have a text box, we may have a button, but it's a very plain page, and that is similar to the first picture that I showed you of Katrina Kaif, where she is not wearing any makeup. So that depicts the HTML. Second language that we need to learn is CSS. Now what CSS does, it applies styles to the page element. A button starts looking round and it gets a background color. A radio button may have an image in front of it. All these styles that we apply to web elements, they are done through a language called CSS, and it stands for Cascading Style Sheets. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. So we'll see all those details later on when we go into theory of those topics, but right now we'll begin with the practical. Now third language that this third picture depicts is JavaScript. It makes web page interactive. That means whenever user clicks a button, what is going to happen on click of that button, that code is not written in HTML, that is not written in CSS, that code is written in a language called JavaScript. And all these three things combined together form the basis of a web page. Hope that makes sense and it's clear like which image maps to which concept in web development. Now let's wipe that off, and now let's get into the theory of HTML and see how these concepts that we talked about apply to HTML. So if I create a simple page structure using HTML, then this is what a page will look like, where we are putting some text, where we say this is a web page, and there is a simple button, click me. You can see this is Katrina Kaif without makeup. That is what a simple HTML page looks like. Now if we want to give some styling here, if we want to decorate this page, then we need to use another language called CSS, cascading style sheet. And when we apply cascading style sheet to these page elements, then this is what the look of page becomes. Now if we see this color, this text that we have written, it has become bold. The button that we have, it got round corners, and it has a background and a foreground color. Background is having a gradient and foreground is a white color text. Now CSS is applied. Now third thing that we may want to do is, if we click on this button, some action should happen, and here the action we are talking about is a simple plain action where we are showing an alert to the user. That is done through JavaScript, and let's see what will happen when we add JavaScript code, and then we see when we click the button it says, oh, you clicked me. So that is how these concepts get applied to create a web page. Now let's do a knowledge check, because we talked about three concepts. Let's do a knowledge check. So this is a question slide, quiz slide, where we'll check the knowledge of what people have learned. Now this is one image which we have to put in the category of this depicts HTML, CSS or JavaScript. Now these slides I have used in a lot of classes, a lot of trainings that I do for students in Being Zero, and all of them turn back with an answer. Here Rajnikant is decorated, is styled. So answer to this goes, this is a CSS language that it depicts. Second image, if we see, here we see Rajnikant is in action in Robo movie. He is having guns and he is shooting a lot of policemen and saying Happy Diwali folks. So that is JavaScript. And third one that we have is plain simple Rajnikant, and that shows the HTML. So that is our knowledge check. With that, let's begin on our first exercise, and where we have to start the language learning practically, because when we learn it practically we learn very fast, and after that when we read theory it appears like it's nothing. It was very easy thing for us to learn. So let's see the exercise that we want to complete and accomplish. So we have to create a web page that looks like a login page. Typically we have seen login pages of a lot of websites. Any site's login page will have a text box for username, a password field for entering password, and a checkbox for remember me. Sometimes we say to browser that remember me that I have logged in, so next time I don't need to give my username and password. And the last thing is there is a login button. So we will create a web page. We'll figure out how each of these page elements are created using HTML. Second step would be use CSS for professional look of the page. So we start styling our text box, our password field, our checkbox and our button. Third thing we do is we add logic behind the login button click, and the logic we have to put in such a way that we will show an alert. We'll say login successful if the username and password is valid, and we will say access denied alert otherwise. So here for the sake of this exercise I'm giving this is the username, this is the password. So let's begin with Being Zero username, Being Zero password, or you have freedom to pick any username and password of your own. So no, this is not mandate, but this is just an example here. Now this is the exercise requirement, and this has to be accomplished by searching online only for syntax. So basically we can go ahead, do our research and figure out how do we create such a page, how do we apply styles on that, and how do we write the logic behind login button click. And typically when we give this exercise to student and folks here in our office, then what people do is people get into this debate because they say we don't know anything yet, we don't. So they come back and they say to the mentor who is teaching them, they will say, you know everything. So it's this image depicts like this is the trainer or mentor who is saying mere paas maa hai, I mean trainer knows everything. Then other people say we don't know HTML, we don't know anything. How do we start with an exercise where you have not even taught us how to put a web page and how to apply CSS and how to write logic? What will we do? So some smart kids who are there in attending those trainings, then when we say like you need to find an answer yourself, then they reply back and they respond back by saying mere paas Google hai. So they say like we know who can help us, and don't worry, we will come up with our own solution, and then we will have a discussion about solution, and we will start looking into the theory of whatever we have used. So that is the challenge or an exercise that we are leaving with you. Begin with this belief, this faith that you have Google with you to help you, but don't search in Google to find the exact solution. Use Google wisely to find for hints. Just figure out in HTML, if you want to create a text box, what kind of syntax you need to write. If you want a password field, what kind of syntax you need to write. But solve this exercise on your own. That is the best way to learn. Otherwise you will find a lot of solutions online which will completely give you source code, CSS, HTML, JavaScript for as a solution to this exercise. But don't do that. I mean that will be your loss if you try to do that way. Some ideas so that you don't have to start afresh. Some ideas of making login page is, this is one website whose login is on top right corner. A simple plain login control, username, password, remember me, and login button. So this is one way of thinking about how do you create your own page. Second is, this is very simple plain login. Then we can apply some styles which make it look little colorful. Then we may have this kind of login page designed. Another login page is this one with some background image. Next is, this is the Facebook login. Then this is little more having some image of keys here, then round corners, and so there is some styling applied here to this checkbox also. So these are different images captured here just to give you an idea what can be your starting point. Now the exercise and the request to you is, create something original, apply your own thinking, apply your own brain, and create a drawing of your imagination first. Imagine yourself, what login page would you design for your own website if you want to. So think original, because when we set goals for ourselves, those are the best goals that we should try to achieve. So this step will give you clarity what you want to build, and then dive into building that. Once you have the clarity, you have drawn on paper what your login page will look like, then go and write the code. So 15 minutes for just thinking, another 15 minutes for writing the code. First 15 minutes can be spent whenever you are traveling to your office, because that is the time typically we waste. You can utilize that time just to imagine what stunning page you would want to create. Next 15 minutes is something you will have to spend by sitting on your PC. You'll have to spare 15 minutes time in 1 week of yours, and I think that will be very easy for people who are passionate and who want to learn something. And so go ahead, those people are the one who can gain maximum. So this is what a drawing you can create. So this is just a sample, and then you can begin on coding. So once you have done this solution, then in next week's video we are going to discuss our own solution step by step, how the solution is built, and that will be a good analysis of whose solution is better. So we are going to keep it as a contest. A lot of people are going to send in their solutions, so we will keep it up for voting, and the people whose solutions look better than others, we will do a voting of audience. So audience are going to rate which solution is looking more professional and more attractive. So we will have some surprise prizes also to be given to candidates who send in their solutions. So please send in your solutions to being0in@gmail.com in case you want to know where your work stands as compared to what other people are sending. So that way you can analyze where you are on the ladder with respect to other students or other people who are writing the code. And this is not a competition, this is not to let people down, but this is something to have a healthy competition alive between people, so that we can pull each other to a better world where we create attractive and creative solutions, and that too with your own hands. So this is about your mentor. I'll be your mentor for this series. So I am Sandeep. I got an opportunity to become founder of Being Zero. So Being Zero is not an idea that kind of I had. This is something that my father had for a long time in his life, and he simply passed on that idea to me and said, this is what I wanted to do in my life. Can you take my dream forward and do some justice to the dream? So I am just a kind of person who have been given this task, and I'll try to do it with full passion, full energy of my own. So earlier I used to work for Microsoft. I have 9.5 years of experience working with Microsoft India Development Center. Last year I quit my job to devote my time to Being Zero and to create learning solutions which are creative, which attract people to do things on their own, and that way they can enhance their knowledge, they can be a better software professional or a better performing student. Overall, Being Zero is a startup which is working on a mission of revolutionizing technical education. Our major focus of revolution is in India, because in India people lack resources. Outside India there are a lot of opportunities, but we will say this video series is not only for Indian students. Anyone who wants to learn, who has passion to learn and build, you are most welcome to join in and to get benefited from this series. So this is our website, being0.in. Thank you so much for watching the first part. Spend your time in doing the first exercise in this week, and in case you would love to send and share your solutions with us, you are most welcome to do that. In the end, wish you happy coding and keep smiling. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.